That's right. Moonlighting SF, a wonderful variety show. We have a great bunch of acts this month, just like we do every month. Congratulations on getting out here, making it to San Francisco. Is anyone here from outside of San Francisco? Make some noise. Or raise your hand silently. That's okay. Either one is all right. Can I ask, how'd you make it to the show? Like Bart, Zeppelin? You drove a car. That's incredible. So from the South Bay. Okay. Well, that's all right. I mean, there's no bridge that we can close to create San Francisco Island. Like, this is a pretty good version of San Francisco you're seeing right now. People are at Burning Man. There's no way to get here from Oakland. And it's pretty sweet. There's a lot of places to park. The Mission District looks like the Mission District 4 years ago. It's incredible. Still, like a Mission District where all the menus were still written on butcher paper with like calligraphy pens, and everything involves pork bellies and arugula. So that's a great time. I've done some stuff since the last Moonlighting show. I went to the Outside Lands Festival. Yeah, some people go? You can say woo. That's right. Who's your favorite act over there? Person who said woo. Chad Pats. Let me tell you the most amazing thing I saw at Outside Lands was not actually a band. This happened at about 5 o'clock on Friday night. I was walking around and I saw a guy on his hands and knees just digging in the dirt like a human groundhog, just like, just tearing it up. And I looked and I thought somebody did not time their drugs correctly for Paul McCartney. They're like 2 hours early. And also, whatever you're taking, that is too intense for Paul McCartney because he's 71 years old. He's great, but he is 71 years. He's really 71. So the guy kept digging, and obviously I was not going to walk away. He digs for another minute and comes up with a full bottle of Jameson whiskey. And I went from thinking this was the craziest person I'd ever seen at a rock concert to thinking maybe this guy should be the president, because that was amazing. That he had the presence of mind the previous Sunday when he was smoking weed on the disc golf course, because he was definitely smoking weed on the disc golf course when he came up with this idea. He put the blunt down and was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break right now and give myself a hipster pirate treasure map for next weekend. Give myself a little reward. Like, normally you can only bury grog in the ground like that, but it worked with whiskey. And it wasn't even like he was hiding it from security. Like, security saw him doing it, and they were just kind of like, we never anticipated this could even happen. We didn't even bother to write a rule against it. So, enjoy the chili peppers, bro. So that was incredible. It was really great. I also did a comedy festival in Humboldt, which means I still have to learn to not wait an extra 5 seconds after every punchline, because they're a great crowd, they're a generous crowd, they're a little slow. And also, I'm not immediately afraid of baked goods that are around me, because I made a very bad mistake at the first after party at the festival, which was at the house of someone who called himself Dr. Foxmeat. And I got there, and I'd just been doing shows, and I was like, oh, great, Rice Krispie treats, and I just ate one. And then 5 minutes later, someone walked up and said, hey, watch out for those. And I woke up under a table. Because this was Humboldt County, and it was very intense. It's just like, whoa. The next morning, I went to a place there. I thought that maybe the San Francisco trend of really hipster food places had moved up to Humboldt too, because every place now in San Francisco has to be a combination of ethnic foods. Like, it's like the Korean tacos. We put kimchi on a taco. It's like a totally different food, bro. So they had a breakfast place called Los Bagels, and I was like, oh, a Mexican Jewish breakfast establishment. This is great. They serve a guac and lox bagel at Los Bagels, which is cream cheese, salmon, guacamole. Delicious. But then I realized there aren't really any Jewish people in Humboldt County. Like, anywhere above Napa, there are not any Jewish people or really Mexican people. And then I realized this was actually a stoner fusion restaurant. This was combining the cultures of the top shelf of the fridge to the second shelf of the fridge, where they just opened one day and someone was like, yeah, do you guys have bagels? And they're like, oh, we forgot to go shopping, bro. Okay, we got like cream cheese, that's good. Some fish, half an avocado. Bro, let's do it, guac and lox. What are we gonna call the restaurant? I don't know, what's Spanish for the bagels? Los Bagels? Great. It's gonna be awesome, bro. The other thing I really loved about Los Bagels is the guy serving me was a high school kid from Humboldt, which meant his dreadlocks were only like ear length. And his name was Gary. And he was the youngest Gary I had ever seen in my life by decades. Decades. Like, I thought all Garys before that, I thought they just came out of the womb 42 years old and divorced. You know, like, when there's a youth of a Gary? Like, if I saw a Gary baby, it would just freak me out, especially because that baby would have a goatee, clearly, or a handlebar mustache, I don't know. And I realized the reverse name for Gary is Justin. Like, who's the oldest Justin you can think of? Like Justin Timberlake, who was in a boy band 10 years ago? I don't even know what happens with that. Like, have you heard that someone was visiting Grandpa Justin? Wouldn't your immediate thought be, that's a con artist. He's not related to you. He's trying to steal hugs and like your nose, maybe? I don't even know what a con artist grandpa would do. He would definitely have Werther's knockoffs in a candy bowl, though, not Werther's originals. And your first clue would be that Grandma Kelsey was his wife. You're like, no, that doesn't. That's 20 years in the future before we get that power couple. Well, thank you for the applause break for Justin and Kelsey. My grandparents, though. I'm excited that the bridge is closed. I wrote a few roast jokes for the eastern span of the Bay Bridge. I'd like to do them for you now, if that's all right. Is that okay? All right. Okay, let's do it. I'm not saying the eastern span of the Bay Bridge is old, but Miley Cyrus was twerking against one of those towers for about 2 minutes the other night. Thank you. Oh, God. I don't know if these are going to go. S-curve? More like X-curve. Am I right? All right. I hope these are going to hit. Always hitting me up for money. Broke all the time. Thinks a big heap of garbage is a treasure. Is this the eastern span of the Bay Bridge or my ex-husband, right? Are we, right? Everybody? Oh, my God. 10 years, $6 billion full of illegal foreign materials. Is this the eastern span of the Bay Bridge or A-Rod? Is that? Oh, boy. Roasting that bridge. I have to realize when we were talking about the Bay Bridge, I realized I have Fast Track on my car. Not bragging. I'm bragging a little bit. I have Fast Track. And I realized for the first 3 years I had Fast Track. When you drive through, it gives you a signal that your Fast Track is right. It says valid electronic toll charge, valid ETC. And I had thought that it was just some super bored, jaded Caltrans worker who was just like, valid, etc. You pay the money, whatever. Just drive. Just drive, bro. It's a very timely jokes. I'm gonna keep talking about Bart. You know what? We're gonna go home strong. Are you guys good for that, Moonlighting? People are gonna get to ride Bart. Very exciting. Some of them finally got rid of the carpet that they'd had since the 70s when they stole it from old elementary schools and decided to line the inside of the car with it because they're like, right. It's a place where people sleep, urinate, vomit all the time. What should we do? Oh, yeah, carpet. That's much better. Then we'll sweep it with a broom every night. That's why we can't run it 24 hours. It would be horrifying. It really would. It would be like riding in a crack house, basically. Although it is very educational, you can see how old a BART train is by just cutting open one of the seats and counting the rings of filth. And that's how old it is. They've been doing some stuff that was questionable in their advertising. They were advertising the late night service, and they showed, this was like a joint BART AC Transit thing, where like, you could still get around late at night, and it was a vampire riding public transportation. And that was like the saddest vampire of all time, basically. Like maybe reversing all the propaganda from the Twilight movies to get people to have a realistic view of vampires, just like the saddest life possible. Like, I need to get back to my coffin, but I do not have exact change. Oh, this place is full of the undead. One thing that I did see recently is that BART, a couple of years ago, won the #1 transit system in the world. Yes, by a study that was presumably commissioned by BART, conducted by BART as well, and maybe they just rigged the survey where they're like, all right, timeliness is 3%. Hobos per square inch counts for 40% of the vote. 25% is access to crack cocaine on the platforms, and yeah, they're #1. But what I would do is if I was in charge of the marketing of BART, I would play up the natural rivalry that already exists between the BART lines, right? Because it's very tense, you know, Dublin Pleasanton versus Pittsburgh Bay Point. They don't like it. It's tight. I'd love to see a thing where two people are just confronting each other at MacArthur Station. And someone's like, what'd you say about El Cerrito del Norte? Nobody talks about El Cerrito del Norte like that. You know what? Why don't you come over here and say it to my face? Why don't you go down the stairs, cross the platform, go up the other set of stairs, stay away from the rail, and say it to my face? That's right. Richmond, what? And that would be really help the ridership. Wouldn't just have to shut down a bridge to get people to reluctantly take the service. All right, that's my portion of Moonlighting SF, you guys. Thanks for coming along with me. Give it up for the DJ, Mr. Grant.